up, everybody? Welcome back to the Love and Rice podcast with your host, Aunt Ma.
I'm your other host, Christina.
And thank you guys for returning back to listen to our podcast. If you guys are new here, make sure to subscribe and follow on YouTube. Also on all podcast platforms like Spotify, Apple, Amazon, iHeartRadio, and social media platforms like TikTok and Instagram. So, also, what are we? This is episode 49, guys, and I saw a comment on YouTube saying that for episode 45 or 46, they didn't see the upload on Spotify and all the podcast platforms.
Oh.
That's my bad. I think I forgot to upload on those. So I will get it up there, and I think you're gonna see on Spotify list or whatever platform you're listening to that it'll kind of be out of order when I throw that in there. So
Wow, good one.
my bad. My bad. All right, sorry guys. But our YouTube is in the correct numerical order, so it's always there for you guys. I get it. Not everybody wants to watch Christina.
Yeah. I just look so terrible, right? That's got to be it.
I'm just kidding. All right, guys. So on today's episode, we're going to talk. Whoa, what was that?
That was karma about to get you right now for talking smack.
I couldn't even get that word out. It just kind of locked up.
Yeah.
All right, so on today's episode, we're going to be talking about.
What? What is so funny?
I have no idea what's happening right now. This is crazy. All right, but we're going to keep this rolling, all right? So, you ready?
I'm waiting on you.
Okay.
That's what happened.
All right, so on today's episode, we are talking about if Asian food is good for us or bad for us. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because we actually eat a lot of vegetables. I feel like
Yes.
out of all cultures, Asian food has so much vegetables, but what are you
I have
doing?
like a stray hair. It's like I hate it when this always happens. It's like one stray hair and then you just feel it like dangling on you and it like bothers the hell out of you.
Can we
No?
continue the podcast?
What? Does that happen to guys?
No, because
Oh.
we got short hair.
Oh. Well, but like you have a strand of hair. Every time I have one in my shirt or my clothes, I always have to be like, whoop, and I have to pull it out or it's just bothering me the whole time.
Whoa, what are you trying to show everybody here?
Nothing.
Let's pull this up a little bit higher.
Can we continue? I'm not even showing anything. Wow.
All right.
Okay.
Here we go.
Anyway.
So on today's episode,
Asian foods.
we're trying to talk about how good and bad it is for us.
Mm-hmm.
Because even though we eat so many vegetables, we're talking about like sauteed spinaches, sauteed like bok choy. We got Chinese broccoli. We got ong choy, a choy, all kinds of choys,
yes,
right?
a lot of veggies.
And but there's so much grease and oil in all of our foods. And so
True.
is it really healthy, right? And we talk about all the other Asian cultures like Korean barbecue. They're literally trying to say that they grill all the time, right? They're grilling meats all the time. Is that good for you? You know, and then you got Japanese people who are eating raw seafood all day.
Well, but when you're eating Korean barbecue, though, it kind of balances out when you're eating like the salad that comes with it. Because usually, mostly, I see people eating it with salad, or sometimes you have that rice paper or like
Right.
rice that goes with it.
But I just mean like cooking straight on the
On a
fire like
grill.
that. Is that good for you, right? Because now it's like the smoke and the chars and stuff, and we all love it, right? That's what they did back in the days, right? They didn't have all these appliances and equipment to cook food in a better method. And so, I mean, back then they didn't also survive this long. So like, is that one of the proven theories right there? So what I'm just trying to say is like, you know, Chinese food is super greasy. Korean food is very smoky and gassy if you're cooking straight on the fire on gas grills. And then you got Japanese food that's eating sushi all the time. You know, obviously they got their noodles and
eating,
things
like,
like
raw
that, but
food.
it's a lot. You know what I mean? Like, is this really good for us?
I mean, I feel like if you have like a good balance of things, then yes. So it's like, I don't know, every time we eat Korean barbecue, for example, right? Like I really love it, but then I always notice that like after I eat it, because we're always eating brisket and like all the fatty meats, right? So it's like so oily, and then you have the dipping sauce that's like sesame oil, and there's like salt that goes in the
Right,
oil and all
straight
this
up
other
oil.
sauce, yeah. And then you're cooking it on the grill the whole time, so it's like every time we eat it, like I notice that I feel very heavy and my stomach's like bubbling,
Right.
and I just feel so uncomfortable and I get bloated.
And this is what I mean about Asian food, because when I look at the older people, like our parents, our grandparents, they all got high cholesterol, diabetes, high blood pressure. And is it because of the food that we eat? You know what I mean? And it's not necessarily like, well, like high cholesterol, yeah, because of all the oil.
All the oil, and then all the seafood, because growing up it's like we always ate a lot of seafood. Like we had a lot of fish, I remember
Yeah.
growing up, and that's probably one of the healthier options to eat, but then you're cooking it in so much oil, and you're
Right.
also putting so much sauce in it too, right? It's just like laying in a bowl of sauce or whatever
What's
it is.
crazy is that when they marinate everything, they put the oils and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they're done steaming it or done cooking it, they're putting more oil to finish it off. You know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
it's crazy. Like if you're cooking on a wok, the whole wok is greased up. You know, even the vegetables you see, they're all shiny at the restaurants because it's covered in oil.
Yeah, see, and then I never really knew that, because like every time I would eat fish, for example, like I'm like, oh, it's so good, right? And it's so juicy, but I didn't realize that it's because of all the sauce and the oil until you know personally, because you started to make it at home, and I
Right.
would see you, and I'm like, do you really have to put that much sauce? Like, do you really have to put that much oil?
Yeah.
You know? And sometimes if I try to cook stuff and I'm like, well, I want to try not to put as much oil. I want to do it like healthier, but it just doesn't taste the same.
It doesn't taste good
Yeah.
unless you put all that flavor in there.
I mean, it's just bland. So I feel like with
Right.
our parents before, like food was scarce. They couldn't buy all the things that they wanted to eat. Like being able to eat any
Why-
kind of good food was a luxury to them.
Why was food scarce?
Well, I mean, they didn't have the money to get the
Oh.
food that they wanted. So once they started to be able to get these kind of foods, and it's like getting seafood and fish and all these better fish and stuff like that, they're like, if I'm gonna eat this food, I'm gonna make it good, right? I'm gonna put whatever I want on it, you know. And although like that fish might be healthy, you're adding all this stuff to it that kind of like, I don't know, is it healthy or is it bad for you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, what are some things that your parents cooked while you were growing up that has affected you now, like your body or something?
So for me personally, I feel like with my parents, they didn't really use a lot of like salt and pepper, like your typical like American seasoning on stuff, right?
Right.
So they really liked fish sauce.
Yeah.
And then fish sauce has so much sodium in it,
Yeah.
and it's so salty, and everything that they would cook back then, they would always put fish sauce in it.
Yeah.
And they would put a lot, like they weren't controlling how much they put in there, because they're like, oh, I'm just going to put as much as I want because I just want it to taste good.
Even a little bit is so salty.
It
Like, have you ever
is.
like licked a little drop of fish sauce? Some people just do that as pranks to other people who isn't familiar with this type of culture's food, and they think it's the saltiest, most disgusting thing in the world.
Yeah.
So like you must have used a lot if, because you used to tell me all the issues you have with dry skin.
Exactly. Yeah. So like my parents, they didn't know, like, I don't know if like our parents knew back then about like how bad having too much salt and all of that would affect our health and stuff, right? So growing up, like getting older, I had all these like skin issues. I had like dry skin, I had eczema, I had psoriasis like on the scalp, and my face was just so sensitive. And then I was just like, I feel like it's because of all of this salt that we're taking in. And I didn't realize until I got older, where if I would have something that's too salty, like I would feel it in my body. Like I would just feel my body tingling, because it's like, whoa, like salt overload. Yeah.
So like, what is one of the issues that you have? Like, are you just always itchy? You always got dry skin?
I always have dry skin, and it's very sensitive. So like I would get a lot of like rosacea on my face, where it's just like redness
What's
that would just pop
rosacea?
up. Rosacea?
What's rosacea?
So like, okay, so eczema is like when it's all over your body, different parts of your body.
Yeah, you get a little bumpy.
Yeah, it gets bumpy or like dry skin or flaky or whatever. And the psoriasis is mainly like on the head and the
Yeah.
scalp area, which I have that too, like where my hairline is. And then rosacea is mostly like on the face.
Yeah.
And before, my face used to always get so red from like everything. Like it was just so sensitive. And then as I got older, I just started realizing like, oh, a lot of this is also flaring up because of like what I eat.
Right.
And it all came down to like how much sodium I was taking in also.
So What are some of the craziest dishes where it didn't need fish sauce and they would use it? Like, I'm trying to gauge how much your parents used where it affected your body.
Um, like if we ate steak, for
Oh yeah,
example.
that doesn't need fish
Yeah, like
sauce.
no one use. I don't know
Like
anyone that uses fish sauce on
to
steak.
marinate or to dip.
To no, well, actually, when they would cook it
Uh
on
huh.
the pan, they would like pour fish sauce all
Oh
over it.
wow.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
for seasoning or whatever.
that's crazy.
And then if they bring it out and they're like, oh, it needs more flavor, then they would add like fish sauce to it.
Yeah.
Or if we're like eating porridge, I know
What?
a lot of people usually eat it with oyster sauce or they eat it with soy
Yeah.
sauce, right?
Which is still a lot of sodium.
True, but I was like, soy sauce, oyster sauce. What do you mean? I use fish sauce on it all the time.
That's so weird.
Yeah, and then you're adding that like the shredded pork into it also,
Right.
which is also high in sodium. So it's
Yeah.
like sodium
So
overload.
this is how crazy sodium is in Asian culture's food. We got soy sauce, oyster sauce, and fish sauce.
Yeah.
And fish sauce being the highest in sodium, and then I think soy sauce and then oyster sauce. And like we literally use that in everything, in all of our foods. And that's why I'm like, how bad is Asian food for us? You know what I mean? Like, so that's just one thing. It's just the sodium, right?
Yeah.
And now we're talking about like, why do all old Asian people have diabetes? You know,
Because they
and
love fruit.
I don't think it's just that. I think it's because as ever since we can eat anything from being a baby, it's always white rice.
Oh,
And
that's
the
true.
carbs and the sugar content in the rice, like that is what causes a lot of the diabetes for people.
And
you
we
know?
were eating rice every day. You're talking
Every
about
day.
every meal.
Right.
So,
So when you're talking about now you're eating a steak covered in fish sauce, and then you got your white rice, and then you're gonna have some fruit afterwards. Like, man, your levels are so high.
yeah, but at the same time, I felt like we had some of the most balanced meals, though, if you really think about
Well,
it.
yeah. Then you got your vegetable that's covered in oil.
True, but I get what you're saying, but then at the same time, at least you are eating healthier stuff because there are other cultures that will just eat like crazy heavy food and they might not even have veggies. Some people don't even eat fruit after. Like for every meal that we've had at home, like it would always be a complete meal. Like you'll have your protein, you'll have your veggies, you'll have your rice, your carbs, and then you have soup too to kind of balance it out.
Right.
So it's like you're always supposed to drink the soup after your meal to kind of like cleanse your palate and get all that oil to like
Well, that's why when we have dim sum or something like that, we drink tea. The
Yeah.
tea is to wash down the oil, you know, or that's why you see a lot of Asian people, they drink warm water instead of ice water.
that's true.
It's for the oil, you know. But like,
Even when you're at restaurants too, they would always leave you with a plate of like oranges or something, right? Because you're
Right.
supposed to eat that after to also help with the oil. So I feel like even though some of the things were heavier in sauce or like oil or whatever it was, like I felt like it was still more of a complete balanced meal.
it is, and I think what I'm trying to say is that balanced, healthy meal is just over sauced with
Yeah.
all the bad stuff.
Yeah, so I
You
think when
know.
it comes down to like Asian foods
And we're not even talking about with MSG. We're just talking about
jeez.
with the normal sauces. You know what I mean? Now
Yeah.
with MSG, that's a whole nother thing. You know, I don't even know what that causes,
I don't know.
but we don't use that in household ingredients. That's more for at the restaurant.
like,
I
banned?
don't even
It
know.
should
A
be,
lot of
right?
restaurants these days, when you go to a Chinese restaurant and you go into the kitchen and the wok master has a station of like salt, white pepper, a bowl of MSG, and all this stuff. And when he's cooking, it's like tossing this, tossing that, and one of them is gonna be MSG. You know what I mean? I mean, it's so damn good, right? But it's
That's
just
what it does. It makes you addicted to whatever you're eating, so you eat more of
it's
it.
like a drug.
Yeah.
All right. Well, what is your favorite Chinese dish?
So one of my favorite Chinese dishes that I always remembered growing up eating is Chinese sausage,
Yeah.
and then I would eat it with white rice, and then my parents would always like fry an egg with it. Yeah,
Mm.
but I know that's also not the healthiest thing to eat. Also,
Chinese sausage.
yeah,
I guess so.
Yeah,
It's got
a lot
fat
of
in
those
it, but
processed meats and stuff is
right.
usually not as good for you. So,
I mean, it's not really processed. It's just like ground meat put into a sausage casing, you know.
but it's like all
But
different types of meat.
did you know that Chinese sausage, like I love that. That's our comfort food, right? And a lot
Mm-hmm.
of people love it, but it originated from being a poor man's food.
Yeah.
You know, it's like when they didn't have enough money, when they didn't couldn't like you said have luxuries to buy certain things, they would be eating Chinese sausage and rice every day. You
Mm-hmm.
know, so like that and being our comfort food, we make it at home pretty often. So a lot of times my dad's always like, "Hey, you want to go eat some bojai fan, which is stone pot rice with some Chinese sausage on it at the restaurants?" And I'm like, "No, like we eat that all the time at home, and it's
Yeah, like I wouldn't ever really want to eat at a restaurant. Like I would
right.
always want something
I
else.
don't want to pay $15 for that. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It's crazy. So I think one of my favorite Chinese dishes is I would say anything they make with crab.
Of course.
Yeah, like ginger scallion crab, which is actually kind of healthy, right? Because you got the
Mm-hmm.
ginger in there and the scallions, or the fried garlic crab.
Oh, that's good
That's legit. When
too.
you put the fried garlic on top of your rice and you're eating it,
Yep.
yeah, that's pretty bad for you.
Yeah, I feel like it's a lot of like fried foods, right, that we like. Because I was thinking of
Well, the crab isn't fried though; it's sautéed on a wok.
true, but you are also putting a lot of oil into cooking it
Yeah,
too,
for
right?
sure.
Yeah, yeah. One of my other favorite foods is like the honey walnut shrimp. That's so good.
Man, when you talk about like, see, so now you're talking about the high cholesterol, the diabetes from the sugar of the pecans. Oh, I'm sorry, the walnuts.
The
Well, why did I
walnuts.
say pecans? Yeah, the walnuts, and then it's it's got the honey glaze on it.
Yeah, but I feel like that's something that we grew up eating, so our bodies are kind of used to it. So it's like we kind of we've catered to how society's diets and regulations and recommendations are now. So it's like it used to be really heavy in oil and sauce and everything, but I think we've adjusted to that where now we're like, okay, well, we'll try to cut down on this and that and that, like if you want to eat it, or we try
Yeah,
to limit it. So I wouldn't say it's like too unhealthy.
yeah,
Because if you're talking about like I don't know, like Japanese people who have grown up like eating sushi, and kids are growing up drinking like tea and matcha, and eating sushi ever since they're like 5 or 6. Like their bodies are used to it, right? But then for us in America, it's always like, well, kids shouldn't be eating sushi until however whatever the age is, right?
yeah.
Because they can get parasites, or they can get sick from it, or if you have too much, like.
Maybe that's why Japanese kids drink sake to burn that in them. Right, every year they gotta drink some sake for some sort of
Mm.
ceremonial thing that they do for their traditions, right? And these little kids drink a shot of sake and it's all burn the
Yeah, I have
parasites.
no idea.
Right? That's why, like in Asian cooking, they put the rice wine and everything.
Mm. Yeah, I don't know.
They put that shit in soup. You drinking the soup, you're like, ah, the alcohol is burning me. It's so nasty. It's like the hottest soup with the rice wine. Oh, that's crazy
It's so
stuff, dude.
good.
That's so nasty.
Yeah, so I guess it just really depends. I guess that's my point, that like it depends on what different cultures do,
Yeah.
because like our bodies just get used to it and stuff, you
All
know.
right, here's a question: if you had to give up rice or noodles for the rest of your life, which one would you give up?
Mm,
Because I love both.
I do too. But then I'm trying to think about all the dishes that have like rice and all of the dishes that have like noodles and stuff, and I'm like, but they make so many different meals. So if you're talking about noodles, are you talking about like pasta too? Like is that
Any kind of noodles, any kind. We're
But
talking
wait,
about pasta, udon, chow mein, pho. Would you give up noodles or would you give up rice?
but then when you're talking about rice, so like
Oh
we
my
have to get
god.
logical with it, right? With rice, what do you have? Like rice is supporting everything like curry,
Yep.
your steaks,
Yep.
the fried
You
rice.
can't have noodles with curry. Well, I mean, I guess they make curry ramen,
I
curry
mean,
udon, but it's kind
you
of weird.
could, yeah.
Which one would you give up?
Well,
You
I
got to
don't
pick
know.
one.
I think I would give up rice. Because
What?
I like so many different things with noodles. Like I like noodle soup, pastas. Um, if you're talking about giving up rice, then fuck it, I'll just get like rice paper or something and like you know
No,
what I
that's
mean?
still
Yeah.
rice. You can't.
But it's rice paper. It's like noodles.
So
It's not
okay,
rice, like a grain of rice. You have to be more specific about
here's
that.
my thing. I love noodles. Okay, noodles is my all-time favorite. But I think if I had to choose, I gotta stick with
You're
rice
crazy.
because, for example, there are certain things you can't have rice with, and certain things you can't have noodles with. Let me rephrase that. There's certain things you can't have noodles with, but everything you can have rice with.
Mm,
You know.
that's
So, like
true.
for example, let's say your Chinese sausage, the lap churn, right?
Oh, that would be weird with noodles.
How can you have that with noodles except if it's sauteed noodles or a
Mm,
chow mein or something, right? But you got Chinese sausage, with the rice, all forms, right? Fried rice, regular rice, steamed rice, stone pot rice. You got curry with rice. Curry with noodles is really
it's
weird,
different
you know.
because it just soaks it in too much.
Yeah, I think there's rice is more versatile. Then that means you can't have sushi. Oh, you gave up sushi. Wow. You regret it?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
You know what I mean? Like, I can't have pho, but I can still put rice in my pho broth.
That's true, actually, because like when we have soup at home, I usually like to have it with rice. Like that's just like one thing I love
That's what I'm
growing up
saying.
and eating.
So sorry.
Well, it doesn't matter. I'm
No,
not gonna give in to my feelings because
no,
we're not giving it up anyway.
you're not gonna
I'm
have
not gonna
rice
even think about how it
anymore.
feels to give it up. No.
Now here's a new question: how long can you go without eating Asian food?
Mm, I don't know. I love Asian food. You're talking
Yeah.
about like Thai food, Japanese
Mm-hmm.
food, Chinese food, like
I'm gonna say
Korean food.
I can't go 1 week without Asian food.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Right? I probably my max is 7 days of American food, steaks, all that stuff. But anything after that, I'm like, I gotta have some sort of rice or some sort of Asian flavor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, 1 week. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, I think so.
Maybe a few days.
What is your favorite Asian food, or I guess which culture is your favorite?
I like.
It's tough decisions on this
I
episode.
know. Yeah. I mean, ultimately, I feel like my favorite food is like sushi, so I would say Japanese food.
Oh,
Yeah, I know I had a debate between that, and I love Korean food. I like Vietnamese food. Like, I like Thai food. I like everything.
Yeah,
But
I'm,
I think sushi.
I don't
If I
think
had to
I can
pick,
do sushi for the rest of my life though. My
I
pick is
might
it's
be
gotta
able
be
to.
what?
Well, because there's so many different kinds of varieties of sushi that you can get, right? There's a lot of different things.
Well, like this week, I made a crab mix, right?
Yeah.
And we were eating hand rolls, California rolls, and all this stuff. So I used to be a sushi chef, and I decided to just do Japanese for this whole pack of crab that I mixed up together and made California rolls and all that stuff. And I think by like day 2, I was like, oh man, this is too much crab. You know what I mean? Like I was getting kind of sick of it already,
Mm,
and it lasted us like 4 days,
yeah.
right?
And I was like, hey, when are you gonna make California rolls or hand rolls again? Because I was like, that sounds pretty good. So
And
I mean, yeah, I don't know.
yeah, that's not even real stuff, man.
It was good
That's
though.
the fake
Well,
California
that's what I'm
stuff.
talking about though. If you're talking about sushi, like you can have hand rolls. There's cut rolls, sushi.
I can eat Japanese food for a very long time.
Well, if you had to pick, like, what would be your favorite cuisine?
It's got to be Chinese. Because no matter how much Thai food, Korean and Japanese I have that is the most delicious in the world, I got to be like, you know what? I got to have my Chinese food today. I got to have a char siu. I got to have a soup or, like I just can't go without it. Sometimes I just need that flavor in my mouth,
That's true.
you know? Like I think Chinese has the most dishes that has that wok flavor, and I think that's what I'm
Yeah.
craving all the time.
I think it's like the sauteed, like veggies.
Yeah, the veggies.
Yeah.
I don't think I can live without the veggies.
Yeah.
You know, like stir fried garlic, some kind of spinach family type veggie. Yeah, I can't go without those. But like American food, like broccoli, asparagus, zucchini, corn, I can only have that so much.
Yeah, and a lot
you
of the
know?
times too, when they're not cooked, I'm like, right? Whenever we go eat, like,
Oh yeah, like
right?
broccoli salad.
I'm like, that's a little interesting. Like when the kids see that, they're like, I want some broccoli. I'm like, well, it's not cooked. And I'm
Yeah,
like, why? Like
yeah, it's weird. It's weird.
we just had this conversation the other day too, because I
Yeah,
like to check daily on what the kids get to eat for lunch at school.
yeah,
And then I was reading out to one of the kids. I'm like, hey, oh, okay, well you have you get baby carrots or you get raw broccoli. And she's like, oh yeah, but the broccoli at our school, yeah, it's not cooked. And I'm like, yeah, that's what the ranch is for that they give you. And
yeah,
she's like, why would people dip broccoli in ranch? I'm like, that's what a lot of people do. So she's like, why is it not cooked? Why is it dipped in ranch? Like, I don't know what this is because we
yeah.
always saute or
Right.
boil our broccoli.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So now we're talking about discussing foods. I want to ask you, and I know your parents listen to this podcast.
Yeah, they do.
And what is the nastiest food either your mom has ever cooked
Um,
or the nastiest food that you've ever had or even seen?
dude, I can't remember.
There's got to be something that you're like, hell no, I'm not trying that.
Um, I think they used to make frog legs.
Okay.
Yeah, but
I don't like that, but it wouldn't be
I
like,
tried it before,
Right.
but I was like, ew, like just looking at it, it was like disgusting.
yeah, but that's not the nastiest.
Okay.
That's nasty, but not the nastiest.
My parents have made rabbit,
Rabbit what?
like rabbit, like
Yeah,
cooked
rabbit
a
what?
rabbit. They cooked a, I think it was like a whole rabbit,
Like you put a whole rabbit in an oven as an oven roasted rabbit
something. I don't know what they did. Maybe they cooked it and they chopped it up
and
and
saute it.
possibly, I don't know.
I mean, yeah, they do
I don't
serve
remember.
those
I
type
think
of
that's a
dishes.
repressed memory that I tried not to,
Oh, yeah,
that I tried to
don't know.
forget.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I would try it. So to me, it's nasty, but it's not the nastiest. The
Okay.
nastiest has got to be something you would never try.
Yeah,
And
I didn't try
so-
the rabbit. I don't know. That's
I
weird.
mean, I would just try one bite, and that would be it,
yeah.
just to see how it is. Just like I gotta try venison, right?
feel like-
Then you gotta try crocodile. You know,
I probably no.
yeah, you go to Florida, they probably have some crocodile stuff. You go somewhere else, they got some ostrich stuff. So yeah, rabbit
or
would
like
be one
in
of those
Japan,
two.
they eat whale.
Yeah, I tried that. That
I
was
know,
disgusting.
ew.
Whale,
Just seeing it, that's horrible, guys.
I would. It was really, really nasty. I don't know if it's the nastiest because I might try it again if it looked
Ew.
right, but it was disgusting. So we were watching a sumo wrestling match in Japan, and one of the dishes they served was whale sashimi. And so on this plate was raw whale slices, and it was filled with blood on the plate, and it literally tastes how it looks. It was the
That's so
most. I
disgusting.
bit into it and I spit it out. It was so disgusting. But that was not the nastiest thing that I've ever seen.
Then what is the nastiest for you? Because I don't really know. Like if
it
I
was it was something I never tried. I was at my grandma's house and I opened her fridge and there was an armadillo in the fridge.
don't, what?
Either it's an armadillo or a possum.
Ew.
And she was gonna cook soup with it.
That's gross.
And I was like, hell no, we're not staying here for dinner tonight.
that is disgusting.
Now keep in mind, my grandma, she was from the villages and they didn't have much money, and I don't know. Maybe that wasn't even what I saw, but I saw a hard
you should
shell.
ask your parents and ask
They're
them,
not
like,
even
if
gonna
they've
know,
ever
dude.
had armadillo growing up. Because if they
Armadillo?
have, or something, or possum, because if they've ever had anything like that growing up, then they'll be like, oh yeah, that's probably what you saw.
I just
They would
remember
They would
the
know.
hard shell and the wrinkles.
That's
And
weird.
I was like, I think this is an armadillo.
That's so strange.
My parents lie to me all the time about food. I'd be like, every time we go somewhere, I'm like, what's in this soup? And they would say chicken. I'm like, that's not chicken. That is not chicken. Until this day, I am 40
Oh, yeah, they would
fucking years
always
old.
say
All
chicken.
right?
Yeah, that's right.
I am 40 fucking years old, and they will still not tell me what is in the soup.
That was always the thing. There's always like a mysterious meat in the soup, and you're like, what is it? Could have been turtle. Could have been
Yes.
something else.
It'll be
and you'll
turtle,
never know.
frog, some intestine
I
stuff.
remember those days.
It will be like, what is it? Some cow brain or some shit like that. And I'm just like, now I just don't drink it if they don't tell me what the real thing is. And it's so weird because my mom is so Americanized
Do we
too.
need to put a trigger warning on this? Are people gonna watch it and be like, "Oh my gosh,"
No
like,
trigger warning.
like I have a pet, whatever. I don't know.
But I mean, this is kind of all normal. You
Yeah,
know what I
I guess
mean? Like,
so.
yeah,
In some different cultures, it could be like a delicacy also, which is
people
kind
can
of weird.
say shit about Asians eating dogs and stuff, and we really
But we
don't, right? We
don't
don't. I've seen places that serve it, and
in China, right?
yes.
Not in America.
So
Okay.
let me tell you this: when I went to China
Oh,
to visit my dad's village,
I don't
that
know if I
was
want to hear this.
very, very poor. Okay, very poor and very far from town. Where are they getting their food from?
Mm-hmm.
So we stopped by the only restaurant in their village, and on the menu was clay pot rice with dog.
Mm.
I was like, holy shit, people actually eat this. You know what I mean? And I did not order it, I did not eat it, but it was just like, I get it, because where else are they gonna get fucking food?
Yes.
There's nowhere else for them to get it unless a fucking bird flies into their village and
Yeah,
they get it.
there's a lot of like stray dogs too. So then if they don't have an option of getting food,
They're
like that's
literally,
just what they would
yeah,
do.
they're either gonna
Yeah.
be like dying from not having enough food or whatnot. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So
It's like the circle of life.
when you're really deep into these villages, you eat what's there,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know. So, but um,
It's like what you see in those movies, right? When those people are like stranded somewhere and they have to find food in the wilderness and they'll just have to get like find a fish or kill whatever animal they see
yeah,
in the forest and just like cook it and eat it, and it's
exactly.
disgusting,
And
but
it's
you got to
like
do what you got to do.
when we're at the restaurant too, it was me and my dad and a bunch of our family friends and stuff, and it was a lot of older people at that table, and nobody wanted to order it. You know what I mean? So then I knew Chinese people don't eat dog.
Yeah,
You know what I
we
mean?
don't want to if we
Yeah,
have options, right?
yeah.
That's just inhumane at this point.
So man, yeah. I mean, when you talk about like in America and somewhere in the South, they're cooking up some possums. That is nasty, dude.
Yeah.
That's roadkill. They're eating rats somewhere and like raccoons.
Mm-mm.
No,
Mm-mm. Wasn't there like a Chinese market somewhere back in Cali that had
Temple
like,
City.
yeah, and it
Yeah,
had like
oh,
raccoons in there or possums or something like that, like in the
yeah,
frozen section?
yeah. In Lower Suza.
That's
I've been to that
crazy.
market and I saw that firsthand. And they have like
Ew.
crocodile arms and
That is
feet.
so weird. I
Yeah,
can't. Yeah.
it's nasty.
Yeah.
I don't even know how they get that stuff.
I have no idea. They probably have like people that they know that like ship it from like China or somewhere
Like
else around the world.
if we went on a vacation to Australia,
Kangaroo? No.
yeah, would you try it?
No.
Yeah, I wouldn't try it.
No.
No way.
I can't. You.
Anything that's at the zoo, I don't. Yeah, anything that's at the zoo,
I
I
was
wouldn't
like, you had
try.
to think about it.
Yeah, no, because I thought like, wait, is there cows at the zoo? But there isn't.
No.
There's no bulls at the zoo. Anything else at the zoo, I can't eat. Right?
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
No.
There you go. It was nasty. So, anyways, we went so off track on
Yeah, I
nasty
was like,
food.
what are you trying
But
to get at right now?
basically, going back to Asian food, we know that it is a well balanced meal, but is it bad for you?
I mean, I would say ultimately not, as long as you control what you eat, you balance it out, and we
Say
just don't go as heavy as we used to with the sauce and oil.
I say ultimately yes, it is bad for you
Oh,
because
and that's your
if
favorite cuisine.
you ate at a Chinese restaurant every day for the rest of your life, you would probably have some sort of health complications.
Well, that's what I'm saying though. That's why it's like you have to balance it out and like portion it out and have a mixed diet.
You know,
You
like
can't eat the same thing.
I
Too much of something is always bad for you.
I've never met an Asian dad or Asian mom who doesn't have high cholesterol. And now I was getting
True.
close to who doesn't
True.
have diabetes.
Ooh.
You know what I mean? Like, and they're just going to the Chinese restaurants, eating their normal foods every day.
Yep. I
Their
mean,
normal foods. You know?
yeah. I mean, they got to enjoy it for most of their life, and now they're just dealing with the repercussions.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
knowing how our parents and other older generations have all these health problems, does that want you to change your diet?
I mean, I feel like I have changed it pretty drastically and stuff, and I feel like I'm more careful with what I eat. And because of all of the information that's out there now, like I actually understand that whatever I'm eating or taking in is like affecting my body in certain ways. So it's like I can feel a certain way if I'm eating too much seafood, for example. Like I
Yeah.
just feel it in my body. Or if I have too much sodium, I'm just like, whoa, like this tastes crazy to me. So I feel like my palate has changed too for the better. And yeah, I think I'm more mindful of my diet now
You
because
know,
of it.
one of the craziest things that I've heard is something from my dad last year. And so my dad has all these health problems because of the food that he eats.
Mm-hmm.
And he told me, he's like, if I knew that eating too much sugar when I was younger would give me diabetes, or eating too much of something would give me this health problem, he would have stopped.
Yeah.
He's like, you eat what will, I forgot what he said, but it was something along the lines of like, whatever you eat is what you're going to have problems with in the future, you know?
Yes. Yep.
And so he knows that, you know?
But he found out kind of too late in his life because
Yeah.
there wasn't information out there to know before, you know. So it's like
Right.
exactly with our parents. They ate what tasted good, didn't know that there would be consequences to having too much sugar, too much oil, too much
Yeah.
whatever, and now they're dealing with it. And we're learning through their experiences
Yeah.
too. Yeah.
I forgot what the phrase was, but it's as close as like you eat what you are type of thing.
You are what you eat.
Something like that.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But I think also just having kids too and knowing that we have little ones to take care of, that we're even more cautious of like what we eat on a daily basis and what we introduce them to.
I mean, Enzo has to have rice almost every day.
I know he loves
He
it.
loves
Yeah,
rice.
and that's fine, right? But
For
it's like
now.
for now, yeah. But if they're like asking for candy and all this sugar and other things that aren't as good for them, I try to educate them on it and why we don't let them have it all the time. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it
Oh
really just
man.
depends. Everything in moderation. So
Yeah. All right. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode talking about Asian foods and stuff. Let us know in the comments what's your favorite Asian food, your favorite home cooked dishes, and also if you think Asian food is good or bad. You know what I mean?
also something that you've seen the most disgusting food that you would never try. 'Cause
Yes. I
that's
want to
gross.
hear those stories. But also, what would help me out is I'm always cooking Asian food at home. So when you let us know what your favorite dish is to cook, I might pick off that and cook it at home. So
Mm.
comment what is your favorite Asian food that we can cook at home. Okay, because I always want to make something new. And so, once again, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Love and Rice. If you guys are new, make sure to subscribe. Right, we are on YouTube, Apple, Amazon, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Instagram, and TikTok. And if you guys have been listeners from the very beginning, we thank you for coming back on every single episode. And I know some of you listen on your car rides and all that stuff. If you do, let us know what time you are listening to us. Is it during traffic? Is it before work or after work? I like hearing these things. So I kind of hear it all from some people sometimes. Some people say they like to listen to it during lunch, which
Mm.
is cool. I'm glad you guys get a long lunch break. So, till next time, guys, we'll see you on the next episode of Love and Rice.